the consideration. I will start with.
Thank you.
Is a consideration in just everything that you do in art. And if you think about it, there's probably nothing that you would really learn in art that doesn't have something to do with perspective. Well, except maybe Grandma Mosey, I'm not quite sure about her. There's several kinds of perspective. There's linear, 1 point, 2 point, and atmospheric. And I have a book here. It's called The Artist Perspective. I'm not going to pass it around, but I do have some handouts. But you're welcome to come up later and have a look at this book. It's way more than you ever wanted to know about perspective. But if you really want to get into it, this is really an excellent book. It has everything you could possibly want to know. So perspective was something that I was challenged by when I first started doing art. And so one day I went to an art class and the teacher said, perspective is very simple. You choose your horizon line, your vanishing point, and then everything above the line goes down and everything below the line goes up. My work was done. So that's just about what it is. It is. So, well, Diane, where you're standing, am I going to the end of the room? The wall shrinks. Yes. Yeah. So, right. But I just what I observed. Yeah. So, what I want to do is just have everybody kind of talk about what their challenges are with perspective, because my biggest challenge is I know that the line's supposed to go down. I can take a ruler and I can draw that line that's going down. And then after I do all my painting and everything, I look at my painting and the line's going up. Anyone else? What is your basic major challenge with perspective?
I think one of my challenges is I draw it the way I think it is, rather than the way it looks. And so that's why my lines don't always line up with it. You know, this is a straight across window, and I know it's that in my brain, but I don't always draw it from the perspective that I'm telling.
Right. I think most of us are challenged by that. I think what you see and what you put down on a piece of paper will be two different things. So which do you use most? Do you use linear perspective or atmospheric perspective? What's the difference? Okay, well, linear perspective is line. If anybody else wants to define this better than I can, is when you have a vanishing point and you have a building, and I have some handouts here. Carol gave me. I'm sorry, some of them are a little blurry, but we thank you for filling in for Carol. Yeah. This is linear perspective here, where your lines are drawn down to the vanishing point. Atmospheric perspective is mostly accomplished by using color or shades. So the things that are in front of you are clearer and darker, and the things that are in the distance, like the mountain or the receding telephone poles or whatever you prefer painting, are they're less focused and they're smaller. They get smaller and smaller, and they're lighter in color. And this has to do with photography as well. So if you want to show perspective in photography, then your focus, you have a clear focus in front of you, and then your soft focus, your background, and that shows your perspective. Don, I know you said that you were going to bring some stuff here to help me out, so yeah, you can kick in here any old time.
Okay. Yeah, I was just taught, you know, I'm sort of an impressionist and fine art painter, but my mentors have taught me to not overthink it. Like when I'm out in the field and I'm painting a building, there's something called relative pitch. You're painting the steel at the bottom. You hold up your brush at the angle of the rope, and you bring it down and put it on, and it's correct. It's amazing, it's true. Uprights are always upright. Sometimes we get slanty and stuff, but uprights are always upright. And then the pitch of something is a relative angle. And then in the main pitch of whatever it is, then the other, so there's divisions of proportion. You know, we can suss up the side of the bond with basic outlines, then you put the vertical pitch of the corner closest to you. And then we go, and then, of course, you do that. You always do the eye level first. So that you're relating to that same eye level, the pitch, the vertical.
That's something that I've been thinking about before, is that it is important, the upright is always upright, and straight up and down. You don't want it going like this.
Except in photographs. Because the curvature of the lens, when the thing is taken,
Right.
distorts that, so in photographs, often if you go up, it curves in. And then we have to correct, at least as I understand it.
If you're a photographer, are you photographers in here? Yeah,
I was gonna say, what you're talking about in my brain is called flash frame focus. So
okay,
the photographer, you're gonna dumb down like perspective and what you really have to think about. Your flash is basically your light. Your frame is what is in your photo, but also what is outside and not in your photo.
Mhm.
Flash frame. And focus, your perspective, your depth of field that you're talking about and how you create that is something
Right.
really sharp in front of you and then blurred out behind, or something blurred out in front and sharp back. So when you're talking all that, that's what I hear as a photographer, flash frame and focus.
So in photography, you can learn to, like, if you're taking a photograph of a tall building, and you have this parallax, or, you know, the Empire State Building, that looks like this, you tilt your camera so that you can compensate for that to a certain extent. Now, with the Empire State Building, I'm not sure you can completely compensate, but it does work. So I did a lot of photography before I took a photo. It's an interesting problem, yeah.
The other thing, sometimes I've used in Photoshop, there's a feature called skew. So you can take what are parallel lines and skew them back and forth and correct for it before it's ready to paint it.
But basically, if you're drawing a building or whatever, your upright is going to be upright. But if you're out in nature and drawing trees, then what do you do? Your upright is upright. Compensate for that.
Parallel to the side of the paper.
Well,
I think you're gonna have to use that other kind of perspective.
atmospheric.
The atmosphere.
Yeah.
You can
I mean, and the fact that things get smaller as they're farther away, because trees might not be. Right.
Right, well, that's right, trees are generally not. Unless there's a large pipeline.
But sometimes the exaggeration from one point adds to interest, you know, it's like, you're not doing photorealistic, but you're doing exaggerated. And it's very dramatic, like you're in front of Notre Dame, and you just put that dot right there and do the towers and everything's all good, but it's, you know,
Right.
so you can do it for a week. You guys all know Van Gogh's Spike the Grid. I make one of these, and this helps you. You put the horizon line.
I've never seen
You put, yeah, the horizontal line is your horizon, and then your road's going into the distance, your building, whatever. Goes into the vortex. Yeah, if you make one of these out of a little square or a little slide, and you slide here, you can keep it in your pocket. You can do that. Leonardo used that, and Van Gogh, that's how he got all this thing, deals going like the US.
I'm just using a slide frame.
Right.
Generating the content, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna time them sewing thread. And-
Now, I have 3 rules in perspective, I use all the time.
Okay.
3 rules. 1, all horizontal lines must be at a 2 point. 2, vertical lines is shorter and closer together as we go to the latitude point. And rule number 3 is how to make rule number 2 work.
That's the app.
Well, I have a little something on why it's so confusing. In high school, I took a drafting class. Where we had to draw things so they could be built,
Mhm.
which was just all right angles. So having had that training at that age, it's hard to make it go away so that I can see that the wall is shorter behind you, way over there than where it is when you were. You have to look hard.
Mhm, mhm. And then you have to make it happen, you know,
Oh, yeah,
that's my biggest problem, is making that happen.
I tend to paint in a really graphic design style, so, you know, I always just forget, you know, wait a minute, I need to incorporate atmospheric perspective.
I like that.
So see, Christie, you do, you may not know that you may not constantly doing it, but like the last painting that you released, that you posted.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
You have atmospheric perspective in that painting, maybe it's
Because
because
all that
that
art training, it just living in the back of my head.
the leaves, but does everybody know which one I'm talking about? The one that you- Yeah.
Oh,
The one, yeah, you posted it online, so the very colors. And the ones in the front are very, focused. And with bright colors, and then.
Oh, the bright one, yes, I
Back in
did,
the painting.
I did put that.
If you look back in the painting.
Yeah, it's all confused, yeah.
It's more confused, and that's how you accomplish, you know, that sort of thing.
Thank you, Brian.
Can I show them one more trick?
Sure, you can show everything
This,
you've got.
this is just one other little trick that someone taught me. You can do 8 points and make a rectangular square. Put your object within the square and will be in proper perspective automatically. Like I started with my toaster, I put my toaster in there. And it's not just a rectangle, but it relates to the sides. If you relate the bottom to the sides.
I wish we had a chalkboard that you didn't. You can see you doing this on.
I'll hold it up.
we can.
Also, if he,
Right here.
if he comes closer to the camera, it's spotlighted, it'll show on the TV for you guys, and it'll show for the recording.
No.
Yeah, put it on the flat.
Oh, here. Upside down, let's see. Where is it?
Well, I can arrange the camera, so where's your top?
See my toaster? Can you see the toaster?
Yeah.
Why is there a blank spot? Oh, there it is.
It's still
There.
bright. It's still in the light.
Okay, but see how,
There's no light on.
No, the overhead light.
see
Oh,
how,
that way.
yeah, by putting it in the box, it's automatically related. You had to relate the bottom to the top. And the slots, it's on the drawing, I think. And you can put your cat in the box, you can put a mouse in the box, you can put an apple. or
My
cake.
cat goes
But
in
it
the
was-
box all by
Instead of being so flat, it's really good to relate to a green thing automatically. It's fun to try.
I've never seen that trick, that's really a solid trick. I like that. And speaking of cats and boxes and things like that, you know, you shouldn't think about drawing yourself as like painting of a cat. And having to use perspective that you do, because if you draw your cat facing you lying down. And then, you know, the paws in the front are good, and the head is good, and then the cat goes back. You can't have it all the same size, it looks really weird. So that's hard. So, yeah, that's very good.
I like to run and roll it.
Well,
Strange to me that people like Picasso, if you look at his early stuff, it's really, he's a master craftsman,
mhm.
but his later stuff, he decided, oh, he's gonna tell me anything about perspective. And Van Gogh got a whole lot looser later on also.
Well, I think it's a misconception, that some people think, well, you don't have to learn how to draw in order to paint. And I think that, some people think that they can just go and start painting things. You can draw a flower, you can paint a flower, and you don't need to learn how to draw. And I think that's a huge misconception.
Yeah, there's an underlying strength to you can, it has a foundation.
Right, right.
It can be exaggerated like that, but it's still a good.
Right, yeah,
When
once
she
you,
says drawing, it's still. It's on perspective.
right, right. Once you get a good foundation in drawing, then you can branch out and do other things. So, have people in your taking drawing classes? Specifically drawing?
When I went to art center, I had a whole class on perspective, that's all we did.
You could study perspective forever.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be really smart because I really perspective challenges me, and I think it has to do with my brain and my art and the left hand and all the little.
Upside down. I'm just,
It's
if I said, I do it upside down.
I like Don's box.
Yeah, I like Don Fox too.
So I got this book and I'm just, it's really overwhelming, the information that's in here.
Well, when you get to all these, several point perspective, it can, in that class I took, I think one of the final projects we had, you had, all different, like a city, and it was just, my mind was scrambling, kind of.
Yeah.
That's what you see the point of the basic of the whole thing is, every place you look, you set up a new perspective.
Right,
And the whole thing is all set up, every place you look.
right, that,
Whenever you look at anything, you already set up a whole new field.
right, that's true.
But I always wondered why, when I'm drawing a building. Like I said, I know that this line should go here and this line should go here, and I do my best to do it, and then I paint, and then I'm going there. And I have to think about it.
Sounds like Don's method of holding up your brush. You can
I
keep checking yourself.
I do all I can with my perception. I spend more time holding up my brush than I do paint.
Lazy, that's my thing.
I always enjoy
when you go to a bookstore and you see a big book on a particular artist, and they're people as well, and see that shit. And somebody, have examples of their classic paintings, and then they'll have aesthetics if they've got to go that painting. Quite often the studies will be from multiple perspectives. And then at some point in time, you will ask them, be able to look at it. They decide which perspective they're actually going to use for the painting they're going to do. So they do a lot of stuff.
Right.
You understand that when, paint Mona Lisa. It's
True. True. What else? Anything else?
Can you guys share what you're talking about?
Oh,
I hear a little bit about it, and it sounds very interesting.
Well, there was a drawing practice when I was in art school that they did, it uses the other side of the brain, where I would be looking at my subject matter, and I put my pen on my paper, and I just keep looking and drawing her face without lifting. You make one continuous line, and you can kind of go back over. Yes, and you.
The name for it.
just blind comfort.
Blind comfort.
Yeah.
Is that you do it as
It's not a perspective,
It's just, it's just the
Yeah.
way of seeing.
to control your mind and your head.
It's living in your brain.
right,
That was such. Or like if you work from magazine pictures, turn the portrait or.
Oh,
upside down.
16, draw your thing on. Yeah.
But it's amazing how more accurate it comes out.
So,
You flipped into proportions.
yeah, I mean, sometimes, yeah, sometimes you come back and it does look kind of a little like this, but other times, I did one of my ex-husband years ago and it just came out so, it just captured his expression so well, it was kind of uncanny.
You can grow from the blind to looking occasionally.
Yes,
looking-
right.
You
Yeah.
get more.
Right,
But You have to start by really looking.
yeah, and then you can,
and see.
then you do it a little bit and look, and you kind of get your position and then do a little more. But what I saw his book is drawing on the right side of the brain, and that's what reminded me.
Right side of the brick, that's the word.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This one has cheating in perspective, just without being too mathematical about it. Just some tips. I got that.
Can you put those on the camera so I don't get filmed?
These are good text.
We need that frame with the strings to come up to the camera also.
Which way?
Is it on the camera?
Let's see.
Don, you don't even have to turn that. You can just hold it up in front of the camera. Perfect. There you go. Thanks, guys. That's perfect.
Okay, next. That looks like Jackie's style of drawing and
I
painting.
was thinking, I love that.
Yeah, this is a very good book.
Thank you.
And that other, the guy, right? Well, that one you chill out too.
Okay.
Not sure if you can see this,
You can, Linda. That's good.
especially with your shirt behind it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
Perfect. You might have to hold it back just a little bit, Diane. Great. That's terrific.
Let's show the author. Right?
That's good.
There.
Then when people watch this, they can see that.
Right.
Thank you, Diane.
This is a good one, but any simple tips for accomplishing perspective?
Practice.
Practice.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I call it. I don't have positions.
What about atmospheric perspective?
That is fun. I was taught by one of the teachers to not put any light in the foreground. I was getting choppy paintings, and my teacher said, don't put any light in any of your mixtures in the foreground at all. And then add a little bit of light in the middle ground, and add a lot more light in the background, and you'll have three distinct levels of space.
Right, I mean, what paint?
Color, yeah, that's. And light.
We have large amount of color, and then add white to it as you keep going on.
So in watercolor, you would just take out the color and then add a little bit of water and then more water and then more water. As you thin it out and it gets lighter and lighter. And then you have it go. So you get to the white of the paper or the sky or whatever. Create fog. Nice job on the perspective. Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? Any questions?
Does anybody have any examples? Let's see one. Or questions about something that you're working on?
Some of those ones that you were showing from the website have some really good examples of those perspectives. If you want to throw off a couple of those.
Do you remember who it was?
No, I don't. No, I can't.
I don't know that you can see it.
This one right here.
This one. This one.
Well, and this is not good. We'll help you.
This one right here has, you know, the vanishing point, and then the trees go back, and then they go up, so that's the. I guess that would be 4-point perspective, 2.1 point yes, there's one vanishing point. And then it becomes 2-point perspective if it's a building and they've got one over here and one over here. I'm not a perspective expert.
Well, what I like in that painting is that if you drew a line across the middle, it would not have the end of the water. It's lower, so it gives you a sense of distance,
Right,
but not
right,
all centered.
right. And also another way it shows a sense of distance is that the trees in the foreground are light compared to the dark trees in the background. So it gives you a sense of,
That's the area.
right, that's the aerial perspective or atmospheric perspective. This is not really atmospheric because it doesn't get cloudy and fuzzy. There's a lot of different names for it. And then there's another one. You see the hills in the background are just plain color, no detail at all in those hills. Whereas you have the lot of detail in the foreground. So that shows the atmospheric perspective. So those are good examples. Okay. And my work here is done. Thank you.
Another good feature of the perspective is overlap. Overlap is another way to show perspective.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, there's a whole lot of different tricks of the trade, yes. And you can use atmospheric perspective and linear perspective in the same painting on with if you're going down the road, you have a road, a telephone pole, and mountains in the back. Then you're using all of it.
So I have to say that on that one with the trees, the first one. I did that early of mine, and it's a collage.
Oh,
But now, I mean, this has been 5 years since I did that. Say, now I would have softened those trees in the background, even though they're dark and smaller, I would have softened them and given more atmospheric.
Yeah.
Perspective.
It would be, yeah.
I'm probably not even touch with nothing. But I can see that.
That's rule number 2. Things get shorter and closer together.
And that's a beautiful, is that a painting or a photograph?
That's a photograph by Belinda.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see the flowers in the foreground are very close and large. And as you go back, they blur out. It's gorgeous.
The warmer colors in the front, you want to look like it's closer, and then cooler color in the back makes it look further.
That's a very good point, and that's another
position.
that's another trick in perspective is to put the warm colors in the foreground and the cool colors in the back.
One of the things that jumps out in that painting, in that photograph for me, is if we were to have 9 equal squares, or the cross down over, the high point would be in the upper right corner. So that not only has perspective, it also has a key element to the view. Even though the flowers are up front, the eye tends to go to the bright green. Yes.
The stronger color.
Yeah, well, the focal point is definitely back there in the bright green.
Contrast.
And there's the change in green, naturally in the trees.
Good one. Okay. Thank you. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you, everybody. You have a good
Thanks, John.
So we need help with, setting up the guest speakers for 2024. If there's, anyone who'd like to help me, it's really fun.
Looking at the other facilities that, then,
Um,
are we gonna have the same? kind of
Our meetings will stay here in this room. Our shows will move to the other facility.
Which facility?
It's the Springview Hall. Used to be next to the old library. It's Springview Johnson Park.
Right. Is that the building that was the old library?
I don't know.
No, it's next to it, behind it.
Okay. Is it new?
No, it's
Oh,
right.
why do we?
So the library is now the rec administration office that's closest to Fifth Street, and then just behind it is our hall.
The community center, right?
The community
Yes.
center, right? It used to be called.
It used to be called the community center.
And then the library was in that location.
Right. Any last announcements?
Diane, did you need these back or did you? I don't need them back.